Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in from across the continent and beyond for another very exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. Of all the days you could be joining us, I'm so glad you're joining us today because today is special for two big reasons. Number one, this is February. This is our entire month solely dedicated to showcasing the most amazing women in science and exploration on planet Earth. We have kicked out all the dudes, everyone but Joe and I as hosts, and we are featuring some just truly incredible women from across the planet. We've got like 50 broadcasts this month. It's a wild ride. Everything goes to our YouTube channel, so you can check out this program and like all the rest anytime you like. It's also very exciting because we are continuing our epic series in collaboration with Parks Canada in the Peak Discovery series. Now, for years now, we have partnered with Alberta and British Columbia to bring stories of these really special places, cultural stories, biodiversity stories, and more from some of the coolest places, not just in Canada, but on planet Earth. And we are continuing that trend today. If you guys aren't pumped, check out the full list there. There's so much to explore and discover. It's a wild ride to be had. Now, today in particular, we're doing a topic we don't cover very much here, which I'm very excited about, which is making a fire break. How do we protect forests from the scourge of fire? Jasper, of course, had a big fire not too long ago. We've covered that in our past broadcasts as well. So it's really important that we understand how we can help sort of work with the ecosystem to help protect it all for generations to come. So with all that said, I'm going to zip my lip. I'm going to turn you over to the amazing ladies at Parks Canada. Welcome to the broadcast in the coolest location ever, and take us away. Tell us more about all you do.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin here, I'm going to share a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that Banff National Park is within the present-day territories of Treaties 6, 7, and 8 First Nations, as well as the Métis homeland. And it is within the asserted traditional territories of numerous Indigenous groups from both sides of the Continental Divide. The land and waters of Banff National Park have been used for millennia by Indigenous peoples for sustenance, ceremony, trade, and travel. So my name is Kelsey Eade, and I'm the Fire Communications Officer with Parks Canada in Banff National Park. So I work closely with the people who study forests and fire and the people who help reduce the risk of wildfire to our communities. Now we're going to turn over this way a little bit. You can get a good look outside here. Today I am standing just outside the community of Lake Louise, which is over that way in Banff National Park. And here we're working on a project called the Lake Louise Community Fire Guard. Now, Jesse, there should be a map going up there. Perfect.
It's up. It's great.
And so for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to be exploring what a fire guard is, how it's built, why it's important, and then probably the part that's most exciting is you're going to meet Shelley Tamlin, who's a wildfire risk reduction specialist, who is actually in charge of this whole project here. And guess what? As Jesse mentioned, this Wednesday, February 11th, is National Day of Women and Girls in Science. So it's extra perfect that Shelley is joining us today. Now, we're going to start with a question. And I'm going to get you to think about it quietly in your head. So don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to shout it out loud or anything. But just think quietly. What do you think a fire guard is? So I'll give you a few seconds here. Think that over in your head. All right. A few seconds there. I know that was fast. Let's see if you were close. So a fire guard is a big area on the land where things that can burn, so things like trees and bushes, they have been cleared away to reduce the chance of fire. So we can take a nice look here with our camera. Right here is a good show of that where some trees, the brush have been moved away. So there should be another picture coming up on the screen. Perfect, great. So this photo was taken from a helicopter looking down. So our fire crew actually took it. And the open area there with hardly any trees is part of the Lake Louise Community Fire Guard. And that section that you're seeing in that photo is work that we did last winter. And then this photo was taken in July. And you can actually see that from where I'm standing. So if you look way in the background, there is a nice open space, and that is part of the fire guard last year. So from the picture, you'll also see that the ground is looking pretty brown. But over the next couple of years, grasses and flowers, so they'll grow up in that newly open space and really help it green up. So it may not look too pretty in that photo there, but we're going to end up with like this nice vegetated area. So to get a better idea of where that work is and where I'm standing today, we're going to pull up another map here. And so this one here is of the fire guard in its total. So looking at this map, you should see an orange shaded area with a purple rectangle around it. And that's the work we did last winter. So like I said, the stuff over on that side. And then the orange box with the blue, or sorry, the orange with the blue box around it, that is the area where we're working on right now. So this winter, where we are literally standing on site. So there's work going on behind me. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to now focus on how fire guards are built. So they are built in two main ways. So the first one is prescribed fire, and the second one is big machines, like are over on that side. So with prescribed fire, that's actually our preferred method for creating a fire guard. And that's because it actually more closely resembles a wildfire. So the area burned, that creates materials that has lots of nutrients in the soil. So when we have a prescribed fire we're burning, yeah, it just really replicates that wildfire. And we have a picture that should get pulled up here in a second of a fire specialist using a drip torch to light a prescribed fire. And I'm actually going to show you one up close here. So what was being held in that picture, this here is a drip torch.
Super cool. Look at that thing. I love it.
It is pretty cool. So this guy, it contains a mixture of approximately 40% gasoline and 60% diesel fuel. And it is lit continuously by a coated wick here. So the fuel comes out of here, it's lit there, and then you would turn it like this and it would drip fire out. And then say your fire specialist would be able to walk along and light the ground. So that's our drip torch. But yeah, sometimes it's not necessarily safe to use prescribed fires. And this is especially when we're in areas near a community and with forests that are really thick. And so that's why here we're actually using machines on the Lake Louise Community Guard. So kind of to recap, we are located close to the community of Lake Louise. And before these trees were removed in the area we're standing, it was super, super thick with trees. And those two things together can just make it dangerous to ignite a prescribed fire in this area. But it is really important to note that once these trees are gone, it greatly reduces the risk. So in the future, we will want to maintain this fire guard, and we will actually likely use prescribed fire to maintain it. So we won't be bringing back in a ton of equipment again necessarily. We will use fire on the landscape. All right, so when creating a fire guard with machines, some of the main equipment we use for these projects. So one is called a feller buncher. And now a feller buncher is a machine that can grab onto a tree and cut it. Unfortunately, we won't get to see one here today. They are usually working off in the background, and it's very unsafe for us to get too close to them. But we do have a short video here that we'll pull up for you that we were able to take a couple weeks ago from a safe distance. Jesse, I'll get you to play that if you could, please.
I'll cue that up. It's a little loud for everyone, but really, really cool and one of the freakiest machines in the whole world. So I'm so glad we get to highlight a feller buncher. Here you go, folks. Look at that thing. Wow. That is quite the machine. Very cool.
It really is. So yeah, like I said, not usually too safe for us to get near it, but we were luckily. So our project manager, Shelly, she was able to be in another piece of equipment filming that one a few weeks ago. So another piece of machinery. So after the feller buncher cuts down those trees, we have another piece of equipment that comes in. It's called the skidder. And basically it has a nice claw-like clamp called a grapple. So you can see here on my model there, that would be its grapple. And it comes in, oh, here we go. Look at that. I even have a tree here for you. So it would slide in there and it would get pulled. And unfortunately, we do have one on site working today. It's probably a little out of the range of the video, we'll see, but it's just coming into the view. It's the one piece of equipment moving towards us. But if that's looking a little far away, that's okay, because Jesse also has a little video to show you here of a skidder.
You got a lot of names to remember. You can call me Shelly as much as you want.
I keep telling you, Shelly. We'll be talking to her in a minute.
I'm easy. I've been called worse. Here we are. Look at this thing. Beautiful. That is quite the machine to grab that many trees at once. Totally wild.
Cool. So the next piece of equipment we'll chat about is one called the processor. So these are ones that are used to cut the branches off trees. And so they also can cut the logs to a certain length. And it's not moving right now, but you can actually see one here. It is kind of, there's a pile of logs there. And then it's the first machine you see. And actually you can also see the skidder getting a little closer here. So yeah, that one, there's the processor. And again, it's a little far away. We have to keep a bit of a safe distance from the machinery. So we have another video here for you that Jesse can play for us.
I'm bringing it up, and I just want to note the fact that we have these machines literally behind you is totally wild. Like when we tested this was not the case. So it's a super incredible location that we get to do this. But let's cue up our third and final video and the gorgeous place. Wow.
So yeah, with that video, I know the machines kind of turn the other way, but what you can kind of tell it's doing is it's picking it up and it's sending that log through. And as it does, it's cutting off all of the branches. And then as I mentioned, it can also hold it and cut an end off so it stays at a certain length. And then we may or may not see them later today, but the next stage is we then get the logging trucks in. And those logs are loaded onto a logging truck by a machine called the loader for them to be hauled away. And the logs that we can see on site kind of in the background, the trees that are coming down here, they're going to be going to a sawmill. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about what a fire guard is and how we make one really, you may be wondering a little bit about why we're even doing this. So why are we cutting down trees in a national park? The main reason, safety. So in the past, fires were stopped quickly and not allowed to burn. And this caused forests to grow very thick over time. And Parks Canada is now also seeing changes in the weather because of climate change. So these thick forests and the changes in climate have been making wildfires happen both more often and also they can start burning more intensely. And this is ultimately quite unsafe. So when we're building fire guards, it's because they can help make things safer. And fire guards can help slow down a fire. They also can reduce burning embers. So embers can travel with a fire. They can travel kilometers in advance and start new spot fires. So this is going to help reduce that from taking place. And then also it gives firefighters a really, it's a safe place to work. So you don't want to be in areas that's necessarily all with closed trees that can easily light on fire. This is that nice open space where we can say set up a sprinkler line and things like that. So this helps protect people and the communities in the park. And then fire guards also have other benefits too. So by planning carefully, we can design fire guards to improve something called ecological integrity. And basically what this is where plants, animals, and the land all work together the way that they're supposed to with natural events. So that's things like fire and flood and predators. So thinking wolves and bears. So those two things in combination, um, the things on the land and those natural events, they can happen normally and everything can kind of grow together and stay strong. So that's the big long-winded explanation. Okay, once a fire guard is completed, the open area also allows sunlight to reach the forest floor. So this is where sun-loving plants can flourish. And these plants can provide important food sources for foraging opportunities for wildlife. Um, and now I said before, like we prefer prescribed fire because it really replicates what happens after a wildfire. But that's not to say that this work using machinery doesn't also help benefit the land in the sense that it's opening up that space for this vegetation to grow. Okay, I'm gonna make you do a little work again here. So I'm gonna get you to take a moment. If you have a pen or pencil paper nearby, you can write down the name of it.
Hmm.
Sorry, Jesse.
Oh no, I'm just picking up my pen. That's all. I'm
Okay,
joining. I'm
I'm
getting
glad.
ready.
Okay, you too, Jesse. Write down the name of an animal that you think would enjoy the new plants in the open space here. Also, if you don't have a pen, pencil, all good. Just think in your head. And I'll give you a little hint. Remember, we are standing in the Canadian Rockies right now. So I don't think we're going to have a whale, is what I'm saying. But yeah, give you a few seconds here.
I want to stress, by the way, because we do a lot of programs with people all over the world, and the Canadian Rockies have some of the most iconic and amazing and large wildlife on planet Earth. And we're going to cover a little bit of that in the next little bit. But it's just a really look at that view. I mean, what a special, special spot. I've been in person. If you ever get the chance to go, it'll change your life forever. So think of some of the cool creatures, and we're about to learn about even more of them. So there you are.
Awesome. All right. So these are a few of the animals that we have actually seen enjoying either this fire guard or some other ones that we have built in the area. So the first one here, Jesse, you can pull up an image. It is of a mountain bluebird. And now these little birds, you can see they're a nice bright blue color and they absolutely love the open spaces. And that picture there wasn't taken on this fire guard here, but it was taken on another one called the Protection Mountain Fire Guard, which is also in Banff National Park. It's just down the road from us. And then the second one is deer. So the picture coming up here again is from the Protection Mountain Fire Guard. And it was actually taken from a trail camera that was set up there. And so even though that picture shows one that was there, the cool thing is over the winter, we've actually had about 6 deer that keep coming onto site here on the Lake Louise Community Fire Guard while this work is taking place. And unfortunately, we haven't seen them today. I was really hoping maybe we get to show you them. But some of my coworkers said that they did see a few deer droppings, so they are still around. All right, this one might be people's favorite ones. So the grizzly bear, I'm wondering if any of you guys had that one maybe written down. So these open spaces are super important for grizzly bears here in Lake Louise. The open space created by the Lake Louise Community Guard will help keep the grizzly bears away from places like town and the highway and the railway where it's really super busy. And it will provide a safer place for them to look for food, essentially. And then what's kind of cool is our wildlife team has actually already seen grizzly bears enjoying the part of the fire guard that was created last year. So again, the area that's right across the way there. Okay, so we are going to go find Shelly here, and we are going to have a little chat with her. So bear with me. We're going to walk into the sunshine. There we go. All right. So we're blinding her. Maybe we'll just turn this way a little bit more.
Step away from the light.
Right? Stay away from the light. Okay. So basically, Shelly, she is our project manager, and I'm going to let her take it away. She can chat a little bit about herself.
Thanks, Kelsey. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelly, and I work as a wildfire risk reduction project manager for Banff, Yoho, and Kootenay National Parks. So welcome to my office. This is where I work every day. Before working for Parks Canada, I went to university and studied forestry and got a degree in forest resource management. A forestry degree teaches how to take care of forests. You learn about plants, animals, trees, and how they all work together. And you also learn practical skills, like how to collect information and make plans for how a forest can be used. The goal is to keep forests healthy and also to meet the needs of people and respecting local cultures. For my job, I get to spend lots of time outside looking at the trees and the landscape to see where there'd be good places to create fire guards, such as where we're standing. I think I have the best job in the world because I get to work outdoors every day, and I help work with specialists to take care of the land. So some of the things that I do every day are to look after rare and endangered plants and trees, such as whitebark pine, badgers, wolverines, and grizzly bears. I also make sure that the soils are looked after and they're not damaged. And one way that we do that is by logging in the winter on frozen soils and snowpack. I also help keep areas clean, such as water, and protect fish and amphibians. Before the project started, I had to document what amphibians were here in the fire guard. And here's an image of me doing a survey and an egg mass that I found during that survey. Protecting species like birds and bats by working in the winter months is another way that we can do protection. As they don't nest in the winter. And making sure that any cultural resources such as Indigenous and non-Indigenous things are protected. I work closely with the companies who are here cutting down the trees to help keep the project going as planned.
Cool. I'll step back in. So anyways, that's basically what we have for you. I have another slide here coming up on the screen there. And basically it's giving you a few links. So where you can go to learn more about the Lake Louise Community Fire Guard and also other wildfire risk reduction projects that are taking place in Banff National Park. So you can view the Banff National Park webpage is a great one. And then also our Parks Canada Fire Management webpage, which kind of shows the overall what's going on across the country for Parks Canada and wildfire management. So we can share these links with you and some other resources after the presentation. But yeah, Jesse, we'll turn it back over to you. We're looking forward to answering some questions here.
Amazing. Well, thanks you two and the whole gang in and around you as well. We'll make sure to get those links to everybody in the chat in just a second, so stay tuned for those. We've already got a ton of questions, which is fantastic. So please please do keep them coming. We've got a long time together, but we'll begin with one from Sammy. So Sammy wants to know, why are the fire breaks, why are the fire guards shaped the way they are? Is there any reason for them to be shaped in that particular way, or no?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm glad that you asked that. So people do ask a lot about the fire guard. So what we try and do is make a fire guard about 400 to 500 meters wide. And that's wide enough that if we have a roaring, intense wildfire coming, it will allow time for that fire to drop out of the crowns of the trees and down onto the ground where we can manage it more effectively. Now and then of course, not just the width of the fire guard is important, but the location of the fire guard is important. And we try and pick locations on the landscape where we're already tying into features that are already there. That means that we don't have to make the fire guard any bigger or any longer than we need to. Now you'll notice if you look in behind me that we are actually right near the Lake Louise ski area. We're tying this fire guard into the parking lot and the ski runs of the Lake Louise ski area. And on the other side of the valley, we're tying into the lake shore. And all of our fire guards are like this. We try to tie into natural features like avalanche chutes and rocky talus slopes.
Fantastic.
Now, this fire guard extends from peak to peak. So it's quite long. It starts at Mount St. Piran on the far side, and it extends all the way across the highway, across the creeks, and all the way up to the ski hill.
Thank you so much, Shelley, and what a great and detailed answer. That's awesome. I have just put the links for anyone who wants to find out more in the chat as well, and we've already got a whole bevy more questions. Abby wants to know, why does wildfire happen every year? Why can't you just prevent it from happening in the first place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we do, due to climate change, we do know that our summers are getting hotter and drier, and our fire seasons are getting longer every year. We can't prevent wildfire because in this area, most of our wildfire comes from lightning storms. So the best thing that we can do is to prepare for the wildfires that we know will come. Maybe not every summer, but they will come eventually. And that's what this fire guard is about. We've put this fire guard on the upwind side of the community of Lake Louise to help protect it should that wildfire come.
Fantastic. Thanks again. Geez, we're whipping through these. Keep those questions coming. Everly wants to know, why do wildfires spread so quickly? So they come, how can we not sort of put them out in their tracks as they get started? What's the deal?
Okay, so what happens is in this area, our forests are very, very, very thick and very old. So over 100 years ago, we stopped fire in the national parks. We didn't let it burn anymore. So we have forests that are very, very thick. And if a fire gets started in them, it's very difficult to put that fire out, because what happens is the fire, instead of burning on the ground, it burns in the crowns of the trees, and the wind blows that fire straight through the crowns of the trees. And when fire is up in the crowns of trees, it's very, very difficult to fight. Helicopters can't fight it, and neither can the planes. And it's not safe to put fire crews on those fires. So the idea of having the fire guard is that it will take that fire that's in the crown of the trees and knock it down onto the ground. And once it's on the ground, then we can use helicopters, we can use planes with fire retardant, and we can use our fire crews to help put that fire out before it gets to the community.
Yeah, man, we're whipping through these. He's great. Thank you so much. Geez. Miss Johnson wants to know, when did the fire in Jasper happen, and did they have a fire guard before it sort of took out quite a bit of the town?
So the fire in Jasper happened 2 summers ago. So that would have been the summer of 2024. And the answer to your question about the fire guards is yes, Jasper actually did have a huge fire guard. However, that fire guard is located on the west side of town, which is the direction that wind blows from almost all the time. So they built their fire guard, as we did here in Lake Louise, on the west side of town, because that is where the direction of prevailing wind normally comes from. However, unfortunately with Jasper, due to the lightning strikes that occurred and the winds at the time, that a fire came in from the south of town, where they do not currently have a fire guard built.
So out of curiosity, as a follow-up on this, when you're building fire guards, are you going to make them bigger to account for the fact that winds and bigger flames can come from different directions? Like, are you changing your tactics because of what happened in Jasper?
That's a really good question. So, I mean, prior advertising wise, we're always going to start by building a fire guard on the windward side of town. So for us here in Lake Louise, that was the west side of town. On top of that, we've also done a ton of fire smart within the community itself. So remove trees from in and around all of our critical infrastructure and homes. But yes, we are definitely looking at planning a fire guard on the east side of town. So this summer, I'll start doing my walking through the forest and looking for a good location to build another fire guard that will tie into this one that will wrap around the east side of the community.
Fantastic. On the note about you now, because you have so much expertise, we have some classes that want to know how you got your job, what your background is, and how someone could sort of be you if they grew up.
Yeah, that's a really cool question. So yeah, as I said, I went to forestry school down at UBC and I got my degree in resource management, and then got some work experience and studied and took an exam to become a professional forester in the province of BC. And I did that for many, many, many years. And then I decided to have a big career shift and I went back to school at UBC with the Sauder School of Business, and I took my project management certificate and became a certified project manager. So this job is really the perfect job for me because it takes my education and experience in forestry and it combines that with my education and experience in project management. It takes the two together and I've become a wildfire risk reduction project manager.
How neat is that? Lucky you. And again, one of the things that I like highlighting about Parks Canada, and we've talked about a whole bunch in this program, is that universally, they're not paying me to say this, the Parks Canada team are like the most enthused people you will ever run across. Like so many of them get to work outdoors, maybe not necessarily as special places this is that we get to be in today, but like I've never run across a more happy group of people. So if you're keen and you're a student and you have opportunities to volunteer or go work with parks, I can't recommend it enough as an outsider who gets to work in education nonprofit. So I love that answer. Thank you so much. All right. So many other questions. Do all national parks have fire guards? We've talked about a few of them in the Alberta area, BC. Is this a universal thing for parks across Canada, the world? What's the deal?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that all parks have fire guards, but not all national parks have the fire history that we have, right? So we are a fire-prone field unit. Yoho, Kootenay, Banff National Park, Jasper National Park. We get a lot of fires, so this is why we do create fire guards in these parks. Other parks would probably focus more on fire smart in and around their communities, but probably not these giant fire guards that we're building, just simply because they do not have as much fire in their ecosystems as we do.
Fair enough. All right. Abby wants to know, why do bears like to have wildfires, or do they? Do any of the animals benefit from wildfire in the park?
Well, during the wildfire itself, wildfire is kind of like the logging that we're doing right now. It's a disturbance that the wildlife do not like while it's happening. But of course, once the wildfire is come and gone, it rejuvenates the land, just like us creating this fire guard does. So it's removing the mature vegetation and it's allowing sunlight to get to the forest floor. And it's creating a whole new crop of vegetation, which is fantastic for not just bears, but also deer and other wildlife species to feed off of. So they do actually need wildfire.
Quick query about the fire itself, or the fire guard itself. Could the public come and help in any way, or is this something that absolutely requires incredible expertise, big machines, people who really know what they're doing with drip torches and other big things like feather bunchers?
Yeah, so it's actually quite dangerous, as Kelsey mentioned earlier about the feller buncher machine being so dangerous. So we actually do put an area closure in place while we're doing the fire guard construction. So the only people that come in during the entire time that we build the fire guard are the loggers, and then myself, I come check every day, and then just anybody I bring on site, like the folks that I have with me now. But otherwise, no, the area is closed off. We don't allow anyone to come in and help us. But what people can do, if you're interested. Oh, can you guys see that? Sorry.
Yeah, what are the chances? Sorry.
Can you see that? So
Yep.
it's a white-tailed deer. And we've had a family of 6 white-tailed deer using the fire guard all winter long. So we had about 6 feet of snow in the Lake Louise area this year. So it's incredibly difficult for the deer to move around. So they are loving the fire guard because it's easy walking for them, easy access, and they can eat the greenery, all the tops and branches that are getting taken off of the trees. They're coming and eating it all. So I've seen them almost on every trip I come out here.
That is totally wild, literally and figuratively. Look at that. Goodbye, dear. Farewell.
Sorry, Shelley.
Anyways, maybe just to finish off that question, if folks are interested in helping out, they're interested in protecting the communities from fire, the way that they can really help out, not with big fire guards like this, but it's with Fire Smart in and around your own home and your own business. And that's just thinning and removing trees from around your home to create safety in and around the home. Because really, we can create these huge fire guards and it does protect a community, but if they still have trees and shrubs and other flammable things right up against your own home, it's still, not protecting your own home in the event of a fire. So that's one of the way that you can get involved.
It's a great piece of advice, and thank you very, very much for that. We had the deer hopping around behind you. When you're out there, do you need to worry about things like grizzly bears or wolves or mountain lions or anything else, the big predators of the Rockies?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, less during the winter. The bears do hibernate, so I typically do not see bears during the winter time. But of course, I work year round out here, so I always carry my bear spray with me. I always have a radio with me and my cell phones. Actually, up here we have great cell phone service, so I usually I can check in with people, let them know where I'm working. But yeah, it is actually a big risk of my job is that I do work alone, and there is lots of wildlife in the Banff area, particularly grizzly bears.
Yeah. I remember getting to visit Banff in person, and there was like a headline in the newspaper of the town, which was like grizzly bear on high school football team. Not high school football team, sorry. High school football field. They're not putting them on the teams. That we're not quite there in Banff yet, but thank you for that answer. Shelley, time flies and you're having fun. We are nearing the end of the broadcast. Is there any final message about fire guards, about your work that you'd like to leave us with? And we will share those resources, but anything before we say goodbye?
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone for, like I said, thank you for coming and seeing me in the place where I work every day and seeing the work that we do. I'm really glad that we could kind of show you the behind the scenes. As I said, I do close the area every year, so the public don't get a chance to see what we're doing. They can come after we do the construction, but they don't get to actually see what it looks like during. They don't get to see all the big machines. And to me, that's about one of the coolest things that I get to do every day is to just watch the big machines. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for taking us on this epic journey and giving us one of the best backdrops and stories we've heard in a long time. Really appreciate you being here. If you're on YouTube and you want to scream and yell, you have our permission. You can annoy the principal, but we'll say farewell for there. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all soon at Banff